Alright, hello everybody. I'm doing this from my new laptop. Still have to use the old camera though because the microphone threshold on the built-in microphone is not good at all. But anyway, we're at the end of May. It's May 2025, which means in 5 days the Switch 2 comes out. So we'll see where we're at next month with buying, collecting video games physically, especially. I'm not even getting Mario Kart World physically because I can just justify that extra $30, at least not at launch. So we'll see. Yeah, we will genuinely we'll see where we're at. A month from now, I might just be showing you some console with stuff on it because video game collecting is becoming weird. But I do have some Switch One games and I have some older stuff and some import stuff, some older import stuff in particular to talk about. So let's grab one of those. The only Genesis one that I grabbed here. This is an interesting. I don't know how I'm ever gonna play it, but it was like $5. Well, in order from J4, you want to get a bunch of stuff at once because the shipping will be expensive. You pay like $27 for a decent size, 10 to 15 item order. So the stuff there can be dirt cheap, and you just have to pay the shipping for how big your package is. But if you buy just one thing, you're paying $20. So it only goes up a little bit if you're buying a dozen games as opposed to one game. So yeah, just something cheap and interesting. This is a first-party Sega tactical RPG called Bahamut Senki. Not something that I've seen anywhere else, really. I wasn't aware of it. I looked it up a little bit on the Sega, I think it's Sega 16 is the name of the wiki, and they're like, yeah, it's a first-party title. It has cool as hell artwork on there. I just thought it was cool and it was interesting. When you find first party stuff that actually didn't make the jump over here, always kind of cool looking. So yeah, add that one, throw it on the shelf. I like it. Primarily, of course, when I go to J4U and I try to order stuff, I even got some boxes for games that I already have, but I'm gonna just talk about things that are new to the physical N64 collection, where I'm adding, if I don't drop them, adding N64 titles that are the exclusives. It's the primary thing, and then if I can get cool boxes, I'll do that. But it's for stuff I've already owned, and be surprised if I didn't own the English ones already. But we've got, starting here with Ultraman. So I do have my cool top labels that will tell me the English pronunciation. So we're talking PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64 is the name of this. I believe this is a sort of like Pokemon Snap sort of turn-based battling game is my understanding of it. This is our one big, well actually I wouldn't say there's just one because I think Ultraman would be in the Super Robot Wars series, which there's two of at the N64, but this is an Ultraman kaiju fighting series that is set up in a similar way to Pokemon Stadium style. So that's cool. Obviously, no surprises as to the first two here for them being exclusive Japan only titles, because this is the first of the three Doraemon games. Doraemon, obviously not a thing that we have over here, not a series. Little cat robot, I guess. I think he's a robot. Full title is Doraemon Nobita to Mitsu no Saresen. The little fold down covers the bottom of it actually for me. But yeah, there's three Doraemons. The third one is a little bit hard to find. I think it goes. I've seen, I want to say $50 ish American for that, so that might not be one I ever pick up. But the first two, I have the second one boxed, so the first two are not particularly expensive and they are exclusives. They're 3D adventure-y platforming games. They might be a little bit difficult to play because I think there is a lot of talking, a lot of dialogue with the characters. But other than that, it's about as playable as an imported Mystical Ninja. Speaking of which, this is the Goemon Mononoke Suguroku, which is the only of the three Goemon games that we didn't get over here. It's a board game style. So this also might be pretty tough to play, but I think people underestimate just in general how difficult it is to play any of the Goemon games because there is so much dialogue. You look at it and you think a platformer, a collectathon, or a Zelda clone or something like that, and people don't realize how difficult that stuff is. So it's pretty much in line with all the other ones. But yeah, very cool that there's a board game. They love to do the board game spin-offs in Japan, and then we don't really get them over here because if it's not actually Mario Party, we won't buy it. So I'll see if that's ever playable. I know Rockman, like Mega Man has one. It's called Rockman Dash. It didn't come out. Am I thinking of a different game? I know Mega Man has one, but it's not on 64. It's on something else. So we got that. We got Tamagotchi has a party game on the 64. Sonic had Sonic Shuffle. Big time for all that stuff. You got almost none of them over here. And then add always, like I browse the Genesis, I browse N64. Don't usually get anything disc-based. More fun to get cartridges. But here are some Game Boy Advance titles that I thought were cool or interesting. Let's go with this little boxed one over here. I don't know what this was about. I just thought it was fascinating because it was like $5. This is it's like Lovely Teddy. It's the official like teddy bear brand 100th anniversary game. There's like a sort of like teddy bear like raising simulator. I just thought it was wild that this is an official thing that they made in Japan for what would be an American company from originally in 1904. Just the licensing on this really blew me away. So 1902 actually, 1902 to 2002 is what it says for the 100th anniversary thing. I just thought it was adorable. I couldn't believe it was in the box. It's like $5. It just looks so out there. I've never seen that before. And then there's 2 sports games over here, but I'm always interested to see how they pull off Game Boy Advance in particular sports games. We've got this one here, Field of Nine by Konami. It's actually based on a card game that they made alongside Yu-Gi-Oh! For like baseball in Japan. So it's going to be sort of a blend of... I don't even think it's going to be a blend. I think it's going to be more of a turn-based thing. So I'd be very interested to see how this actually works. But more Konami baseball stuff alongside like Power Pros and things. Very, very interesting. And this is called Calciobit or something like the Calciobit. This is a soccer title that has a lot of similarities to like the Kunio-kun soccer title that came over here on the NES as Nintendo World Cup. So just a very fast, arcadey, and sort of like SD style soccer game that seems like a lot of fun. So I got that. We'll move back over stateside for these last couple here, and let's say several of these are things I grabbed. Oh, I forgot to grab one more because it's in such a different section. But I'll do it alongside this right here because this is so weird. So not a game that you would expect me to grab, but things that are sort of wise to pick up on sales at GameStop when they go on sale for a new copy of something. So Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4 Deluxe Edition for PS5, and the other one that I forgot, it would be on like the shelf way under it. Darkest Dungeon 2 I got for the Xbox. Both of those were on sale for $15 at GameStop new. Definitely one that I was like, my partner who's the JRPG fan has not tried any of these yet, but I hear a lot of good things about them, and they're not very accessible. They're usually expensive, and they're usually collector's editions for older consoles or obscure consoles like the Vita. I know Trails of Cold Steel's big on that, and there's a lot of PS3, and I think there's some Switch ports and everything, but they don't get big releases. So just grabbing these 2 very long, I'm sure, JRPGs for $15 seemed like a no-brainer. Then we've got just picked this up online. I think this was like $5 or $6. Just a very good price for this Ninja Gaiden Sigma. This is the upgraded version of the first Ninja Gaiden for the PS3. I haven't played any of the Sigma versions, and I should get around to playing the 3D Ninja Gaidens because they're definitely my style, other than being super hard. So, figured not bad to pick up for under $10, several dollars under 10, to pick up the best version of the first one here. That's good stuff. Now let's close out on some Switch 1 titles. I do have some stuff coming for Switch 1 in the next month. It's been taking a long time to get here. from Play Asia, but that is okay. I still do really want those, so at least I'll have that to talk about. Hopefully, I know it's in country, so it should be here by next month. Let's start with two things that were pretty. I have 4 games here. 3 of these I waited a long time for. Damn. So let's start with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection. Love my card games and shit. Love that. Not super interested in doing anything with Yu-Gi-Oh! That is not the eras contained within this collection. So this was a really, really big deal for me. And I could not help myself from laughing about the fact that I knew when the reviews were going to start coming out, and lo and behold, of course they did. People were like, yeah, this collection, it's really extensive, but some of these games are just not good. And I'm like, I know half of these games are terrible. Like, they're trying to do things that are not just playing the regular card game, and they're not panning out, and they're not good. And I was like, I want to try them. I want to see how bad they are. I want to see, like, why people say that they're bad. And I could pretty much deal with it, except for the fact that there are some games on here that gaslight you. I started, I think it was Sacred Cards, one of the RPG style ones. And I was like, cool, yeah, time to go into the city, start, doing random encounters or the whatever encounter system that they have in there. And you can tell I didn't actually play it very much because I went to make my deck for it, and they're gaslighting me because some of the cards are not the same as their printed versions, which I've played extensively in the other real games on here, like the Championship Edition and stuff. So I was like, oh, nope, I'm out. I'm tapping out. I can't do that. There's no way I'm going to do that. I can't try to put Magician of Faith in my deck and have it be a normal monster, not an effect monster that doesn't do anything. So I was like, no way on that. But still a very, very extensive collection of these older Game Boy titles that have usually been very, very good. So definitely play anything that says World Championship Tournament. Play Eternal Duelist Soul. Play some of the older ones that are a bit really slow starters, I'll say, for sure. Like Dark Duel Story is very, very slow, and I think it's pretty hard towards the end. Difficulty curve is not great on there. But you can do a bunch of stuff. Like, I think you can just automatically just unlock all the cards in a game, which feels like too much like cheating, but like you might need it for some of those. Next, we've got Tetris Forever. This is the Digital Eclipse interactive documentary and compilation for Tetris, which also includes the new Tetris Time Warp, which kind of just bounces back and forth between all the other games that are on the compilation. Really, really lovely experience, just like with Atari 50. Probably a little bit better than the story from Atari 50, like the story that they were telling about the history of that company. Because Tetris, if you've seen the movie, you know it's not that much of an exaggeration on a lot of stuff. The intrigue, the sort of like borderline espionage story of Tetris, and something that I really, really enjoyed about this in particular is all the interviews with Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov, who seem like really, really delightful people, and I really, really love their friendship and their chemistry. Like, it's a really, really nice thing to see. On top of a story that's really, really interesting. And some great games included on here as well. Ones that you very unlikely that you'd get a chance to play. So, I mean, for one thing, the recreation of the original Electronica 60 version with all the ASCII characters is really interesting. Really, really cool to see that. It's got some of the Bombless versions. It's got some of the Super Tetris. The one that I really, really liked, definitely accurate to describe it as like a hidden gem, although it was super hard, was it's Tetris Battle Gaiden, where you have little characters with power-ups and everything. I love the presentation. I love the power-ups and stuff. Really, really good version of it. Need to play it with somebody else, though, another human player, because the AI in that is very difficult. Either that, it's that, and also the fact that it's kind of hard to, when the descriptions are in Japanese, to know exactly what the power-ups are. But still, it was tough. But really, really good. I can't recommend that enough. And another one that I waited on for a long time, Capcom Fighting Collection number 2. They just keep hitting home runs with these compilations. So we've got two Capcom Fighting Collections, and we've got the Marvel Collection, which came out a couple months ago. And if you just think about like one game on each of those, that would be like so worth the asking price. not one but two games on here, both Power Stones, some of my favorite fighting games that they've done. I could give a shit that they include Street Fighters because you can play Street Fighter so many ways. But being able to play Plasma Sword, a very interesting Dreamcast 3D style fighter that I learned about mostly from the Capcom character encyclopedia about like 10 years ago, I feel like now. And they really dove deep on a lot of different series that you wouldn't see in titles that had one game like Plasma Sword. It seems like it would be vaguely related to Cyberbots, but I don't think it actually is. I think it's just a little bit of crossover there. I say one of them is, I think, Star Gladiator. I think Star Gladiator and Plasma Sword are like two games in a duology. I think that's it. Project Justice, which is from the Rival School series. So I mean, like, I'll just read since I've said half of them. So Capcom vs SNK Pro, Capcom vs SNK 2, Capcom Fighting Evolution, which is a really interesting, weird sort of jumble. It's not a compilation, but it's a mix-up of different fighting game characters on the same roster. Very similar to Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, I think, is the way that they did that. Came out for consoles in like '05. First time they introduced like Red Earth characters to the States, which I thought was, well, I think Red Earth came out in the US. That's where it's called Red Earth, and then, but it was like so late because it's a CP3 title that not a lot of people played. I'm doing all this so off the cuff and like feel like I'm pulling half these facts out of my ass, and I'm a little bit incorrect on some of them. But I mean, fascinating that they did Capcom Fighting Evolution. You had Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, so a very, very refined version of Alpha 3, Power Stone 1 and 2, Project Justice, and Plasma Sword. Just really 8 really good titles that we do not get the chance to play. So really good stuff there. And then let's close out on another title I bought on a sale from GameStop because I was like, you know what, $50, that's probably enough for me to get to pull the trigger. We got the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster Collection. I'm still working on Final Fantasy 7, trying to finish that within the week before the Magic Set drops, but I mean, they kind of sparked me. I'm interested in Final Fantasy. It's a little bit overwhelming with how much there is, and I think half the time I feel like spin-offs are going to be more up my alley than the actual main series games, but I've gotten to the point where I understand the battle system, so I feel like I could probably go into most of these games and feel comfortable now that I've played a good amount of 7, and I will hopefully finish it in the next 7 days. So, just the best possible versions of all of these ones here, 1 through 6. I'd like to play 6. 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3 really do interest me as well. So that would be cool. It's crazy how many, I feel like I've got like several versions of a couple of the games on here already. I'm just like, well, yeah, but get it on the Switch, get the most refined, the most prettiest looking, the most updated version of it, and it would be nice if they have the features like the speed up versions and stuff that you can get from like the Final Fantasy 7 port. That would be nice. So yeah, we'll see if Magic gets me to fire up another one of these or another game in the series soon. But that is gonna do it for pickups this month. I'm working on, I mean, this coming week is gonna be Nintendo Switch 2. I'm keeping up with NTNDO64.com, Nintendo64.com, with posts every week, but there's so much shit going on. I'm using a lot of the backlog, but I'm working on Banjo-Kazooie Nostalgia 64, which is an absolute masterpiece from Mark Kirko. I hopefully will have a post for that next week. So I'll be actually writing some new content instead of going from out of the backlog. And then Switch 2 comes out, Final Fantasy MTG comes out. I'm so busy, but you can catch me at Bazaar for regular shit, regular retro gaming, pick up some Magic, pick up some Pokemon cards if we still have them. But Final Fantasy MTG is going to be a huge deal, so we have a lot of events going on for that, and I'm going to be very, very busy boy with all of that over the next couple months. So we'll see what happens there. And with that, I'll see you next month with the Switch 2 update. Bye-bye.